Hey guys, hey David, Mats, 624 Dudley, good morning. A bit quiet because I didn't advertise this or anything, could we just go online and it'll just be regulars tonight probably. Bit sleepy, had a pretty big day. Hi Mark. Pretty big day. Sort of glad it's over and there's still 3 more and then a trip to Shenandoah to pour some concrete next on the weekend. Tea and biscuits, good day. So a bit sleepy and fairly early start this morning. Seriously not all that long out of bed after live stream, I don't think. Done. Anyway, this weekend, what happened? Not a lot. Messed around with this. That's about what happened. I don't know where we got to before, but I've done about 10 prototypes, I guess. They're lined up here everywhere. This isn't the final one, but it's one that actually sort of works. If anyone's particularly interested, it really would have been awesome to have a. I think I'm probably going to organise. I should have done this. Should have been onto this, and I wasn't. Don't have a whole lot of hold down gear, but let's have a look. Can you hear me? Yeah, right. There we go. Hey Dan. Hey Kevin. A bit quiet anyway. Let's should have had all this worked out. Put this in the vise. Right. I'll swivel this round here like so. Something's come undone. And we're looking straight at the vise, which isn't all that exciting, but we can see how this all goes together probably. Let's try that. Haha. Too late. Yeah, there's no explanation there. It's yeah, not much I can say about that anyway. Anyway. Tea and biscuits, that works. This is going to be aluminium or something. I don't know what yet. Maybe I could cast it in brass. Bronze. Probably machined out aluminium. I don't know. This isn't really really much good in some ways, but we'll have a look at it. Anyway, this is the gearbox for the thread cutting attachment. It's an extension or an offset gearbox for the to bring the lead screw from here to here and give us a bit more chuck clearance, sort of. That's the theory. I don't know if it works like that, but it's the theory. Very much like to have this shelf right up against the tail, up against the slide, but I don't think that's going to happen because we need this space in here for stuff. There's bush in the back there, and there's a bush in the middle for the centre gear, and then there's another bush for the fire drive shaft. I don't know if I had these done. I think I might have had these done last week. Did I? You haven't seen these? No, we had looked for a box of gears and couldn't find any. So anyway, on Sunday, I thought, stuff it. I'll get out and I'll make 3 gears like that. See, bronze. I had a bit of bronze kicking around here. That was probably cast bar, to be honest. Kicking around. Anyway, 3 0.8 module gears seem to be okay. Bored them out. Well, bored these out. Put a keyway in each side. That one and that one. And left a spigot on this one, which I'm not sure whether it's a way forward or not, but it seems to work. Everyone's asking how you put 2 keyways in a gear like that, offset 180 degrees. With a broach, you make a... It's the wrong one. We'll try this one. What you do is make a bush like this, which is a broaching bush, but it's got a keyway in the back as well. And you sit this one in line up. You push the broach through. Evening, Paul. Push the broach through. I hope you got them offset anyway, because maybe... Yeah. Then you turn it around and you get 3D printed plastic key or something. Slide that in there and push the broach through the other side. Don't think they are slightly off. I don't know. Maybe these bushes weren't quite on centre. I thought they were pretty close. Anyway, I don't think it's slightly off. Could be. Doesn't matter anyway. They're done. That one. That one the same. Did them all in one stick and then just pared them off. Set this one up in the collet. Machine one end first, then set that up in the collet and machine the other side. They should still fit. They probably do. Let's have a look. Yeah. See, it's an illusion. They line up that way. Spin this 180 degrees. They line up that way, sort of. So, anyway, did them, and then thought, well, this part was already in the lathe. I've already got one of these. We might as well use this. So this lid will be in metal. It'll have like a brass bush or something in here. Like so. And this one goes in here. And they line up nice. Then I thought, well, we'll make a 3D printed piece like this. Right, hold down the centre and push that in next. That can work like a shear key, see? That's the theory. When that's together, we'll put the poke that through there like that, so that it runs another bush on the other side. And we've got a cap to stop it pulling out. Now, I think this is going to be flush with the back of this because I've extended this for a couple of reasons we'll look at in a minute. And then there's a screw comes down through there and locks it all together. Screws into that. So that's one shaft. The next one just runs in a bush there like that. Come on, focus. See? That's all right. And then the next one is actually still on the lathe. We might switch to a different prototype here. Right, this is sort of the next version. It's a bit thicker underneath, it comes right down the bottom, it's a bit more solid. I don't like that this is sticking right out here, really. We've also changed this to the point. We started with this one, which has one screw in it. And I was going to put a dowel pin in the back because there's only one hole in here. It's going to bolt this on here with one bolt and a dowel pin, so you only got to undo one bolt. Bit of a pain in the almost, and I don't like it. It's only one bolt in the centre. You've got a fair bit of leverage on that bolt, and I don't like that much. So we decided we've got to drill a dowel hole here anyway, so we might as well make this version. Which is about 10 versions apart. You could, but we got backlash and stretch and stuff, and I don't like that much. You probably use a chain, but this works. So this version's got 2 bolts. Right. I finally actually got them messed around and actually measured where these bolt holes were, or this bolt hole here. So it screws in here for some reason. Not sure why it's got a screw in there, but this particular saddle does. And we'll put another one to match on the other side. We made this bit then. Which is probably still a little bit tight, I think. But that's just a fork. that operates on there. There's a cross pin in the end of the, sorry, there's a cross pin in the end of the lead screw here, and that operates on there, and also operates as basically as a bush. Pretty much. So that's how that works. So got this made. I made this up last night. It still needs a lot of deburring and a bit of clean up and probably some polishing and stuff to make it fit properly. Let's have a look over here again. Move over here and try and find some light. Sorry guys. So there we go. So this one's got a bush in the back. I'm not sure if that's actually something that's going to have for... Trouble is I block the light out that way around. Not sure if that bush is something we're going to go with, or whether we're just going to have this running in the saddle, in the cast iron, and supported on the outside might be what actually happens without the bush. Don't know. That goes in there nicely. Right. And it's got a cross pin, and this one sits on here. So that's how that works. And then the lid all just screws on here with 4 screws. Morning, Paul. So the things we don't like is that this is much too weak in here. Like if you bolt all this together, you haven't got a whole lot, especially in aluminium. You haven't got a lot to stop it moving, and it'll bend, I think, if it takes a load. So this is the next version, which I sort of like a bit better. That's the final version. I think that we've still got a gap here, and I'd very much like a metal, like a gusset down here, something that's easy to clean the chips out of with your finger or whatever you've got to do, and just give this a bit of support onto the compound this way with 2 screws in there. That should be heap solid. That's the thinking behind that. So the other thing that I don't like much about this prototype, slide this apart. Here we go. Or this prototype, which is sort of the one in between with the 2 screw holes. The thing I don't like about this is that to put this cap screw in here so it's flush, so the gears miss, this hole here, the counterbore holes, are quite deep, and they come very close to this counterbore in the back. So there's not a lot of meat in between the two there, and it's sort of not much at all. So I'm on a bit of a quest. If someone knows the answer, or if someone's got some, this version only has those screw holes counterbored 4mm. What I would like is some low profile head cap screws. I don't believe you can buy them in Australia. You can get them out of China. I haven't found anyone in Australia that actually sells them. I was going to have a look at mini bearings because I haven't seen them. Haven't looked on their website. They may have them, but they don't sell over the counter, so you've got to actually look on the website and order and then go and pick stuff up at their offices. Button heads are a little bit big, and as you can see, not a crazy amount of clearance between those holes. Not a crazy amount at all. So, hey Raymond. So fill us ahead, or see if we have a look. In Black Book, this is sort of not particularly useful because none of these things actually are available. But fillet head would be fantastic. Or a flat top fillet head would be really good. Getting those sort of things are impossible. The ones you can get are sort of a pan head, a hex head, probably a waif, a socket head, what they call a flat head. And sort of that's about it. Hey John. So, well, it's all very well to have this chart of common screw and bolt heads. You can't actually buy any of them in Australia. You could just machine down a socket head, take 3mm off a socket head cap screw, but then there's no hexagon left to actually get hold of it. So I don't like that much. I believe that there's a low profile one of these. It's only 4mm deep, and they're available on eBay out of China. But anyway, maybe I'll just make some bolts. Do it the old fashioned way and make a couple of decent bolts. Could take 3mm out of the underside. Oh, I did not think of that. That's probably not a bad idea either. It's probably doable as well. Don't know. I'll have a think about that. So, a lantern chuck. Got a lantern chuck. But it's not even that difficult. All you got to do is hold it in the chuck and actually machine it. Hi, Joe. So, that's a job. And I think we're going to modify this one so that it actually sits back here a little bit onto the saddle all the way across, and it should be really good. Lantern chuck, where do I find a lantern chuck? No idea. It's not really the tool for this job, but what a lantern chuck does is basically holds a bolt, and then it's got a piece that screws down over the outside to hold it down like that, so you can work on this end of the bolt and hold the head or the screw or the round head or whatever. That's not got everything else. Now there is a set of lantern chucks here, but finding one's going to be a bit difficult. So lantern chuck's basically for working on this end of a bolt. Anyway, we'll get that done. Then everyone's still mystified about exactly what this gearbox does. Now we've got it all together. Basically, before, or the first iteration of this, had this sticking out here. Something like that. Right? Which is now going to be sticking out over here. Right. Now, there's some serious design faults here, because if we put this on here like this, right, like it goes, and then we've got this which goes on there. This is all going to fall apart because I think there's a circlip missing off one of these universals. Not really 100% happy with this universal shaft as such, but that drives across here to there. Right. And that basically provides thread cutting on the compound. Now the problem with that is that if you're threaded cutting an internal bore in the centre of something and you're using a 3-jaw chuck for a casting or a 4-jaw chuck or anything else, I'm going to take this apart, right? This here bumps on the chuck before this tool gets close enough to the centre here to actually do any useful work. So by putting this over here like this, right, and getting rid of this bit that's sticking out here. Hey, Journeyman Randy. We can get that much, which is about 50 mil closer to the centre of the chuck, which fixes that problem when on the big 4-jaw even. So that's the thought process behind that. Tigrop, good day. Hope you're feeling better soon. The other issue is that I want to run a stop off here so that when this basically moves back, oh, that's not good. When this saddle moves back with a stop on it, it pops this dog clutch out, whereas this has got a ball in here that's adjusted back at the moment, but it should locate nicely on that groove, or that groove. When you push it in, it clicks in and retains. When you kick it out, it clicks into the next one, and then it'll spin like that in the right spot. So we can put a stop through here, but even if we offset it behind this tool post, it's still, if we have a look, it's still out here somewhere. So we've got to have a long yoke on this or something, and it gets in the way. It's not really ideal. So by moving it out here, and we can run something along the side here, and it works directly in line. So that's the other thought process behind that. And we can procrastinate other stuff while we're doing it. So that's what that's for. And this basically it's going to need something to pull that out because it's tight. Managed to cut my finger on it. There. So I've replicated that in this piece. Right. Basically. Still not in the right spot. Anyway, that slides over the key as well and goes round. And that drives the gearbox out to here, which gives us the same spin. Ouch. The same directional rotation this way through an idler. And no gear reduction. And means that we can drive off here, back out here. So that's where we're at. I tossed up a lot of little thought processes and ideas and things. And doing this, got too many ideas, some of which will never happen because they're a bit pointless. One of them was I was thinking I was going to extend this out a little bit, but I think that the distance between here and here is probably better off kept to a maximum. And putting a basically a turn counter on here, like unless a Gartner one or something like that, just go over this shaft with a grub screw. For counting turns and spring winding and stuff like that, which would be very, very useful. You can do it the old-fashioned way, just keep them just right on the mandrel with a baro and count the turns, or with a felt tip pin. But it might be fun to put like a counter on here in front of and behind this coupling, but I don't think that's going to happen. Can't think of any other way or place to actually put it, so I think we're going to live with that. We could probably put offset gear on here and a counter in here somewhere, but it's really in the way and it's not nice and it's going to be a bit untidy. The other thing is this little oiler here. We're going to put another one of these in the front of the gearbox here, so we can fill it up with gear oil. Going to stepper motor setup. Yeah, I sort of thought about that. It's not really my thing. It's not something I can get my head around very easily. This is more fun. It's certainly got much more effect than a zippy box with a circuit board in it. And the scope for actually improving it and adding to it sort of without end. Adam and Carmichael and I have been messing with a if we're going to go with some electronics again, messing with a IR basically LED counter on here, something off the back here probably, or even something just screwed on the top there inside with a, or screwed on the outside here with a nice neat little infrared system here to count revolutions, and that would work as a counter too, I think. We've got a tacho with a box somewhere, or we can probably set it up a bit fancier with a counter so that we can count turns for springs. Or we can with a countdown timer so that you could set it at 10, and when it gets to the other end it sounds an alarm or flash a light or something like that. So that's another thought there. This, if this goes on here, it's probably going to go around the back here. I don't know, on this side or on top, because I believe that there's going to be a guard on here at some point when this is done. So it can't really go on the front one because I have plans to put some other accessories on the front here that require this column. So we'll see how we go. So there's 1,000 projects. Seriously, 1,000 projects on this machine. But at this point, that's sort of what we're messing with. Now I've got that stuck in there nicely. That was pretty tight. I think it needs a little bit off the outside diameter. I never got to that the other night. Probably 0.1 or something like that. So this one, which has the bolts at the right settings, basically. If we were to make bolts, I'd probably find something that's 9mm diameter, or we could find some cheese heads and cut them down to 9mm, and then it gives us another 0.5 millimetre between that hole and that hole, which wouldn't hurt. And this just bolts on here. And I believe that there'll be something across to about here somewhere, just to stop this rocking. See, there's a gap there. But it wants a bit of a nice texture and a slope and a fillet in it so that it's easy to clean out. No idea why this hole was here, but it seems to be factory. Hey, Kimber. Anyway, it's a thought process. That's got that gap there for a couple of reasons. One is if we put it back here, which we could, but we lose 10mm compound slide. So basically, see, this wine's past there. Wine's past further than that, but I'm not going to leave it sticking out that far. So we've made a compromise there, and it goes there somewhere. A little bit more than that. Maybe a little about there somewhere. So that's one reason. The other reason, hey Frank. Take care, Kevin. The other reason is that we need space for these bolts. and we need space for a bush in the back, I thought. So because the distance between the counterbore on the head and the counterbore on the back here is only on less than about 3 mil, it really needs to stick out like that. I'm guessing sort of the way to do this is to machine up aluminium, and I might call in a favour. Joe's offered to do it with the CNC, and then we just paint it all, match the lathe, and we should have something that's pretty good. This does stick out further, and I almost redesigned this whole thing. Oops. Nearly redesigned the whole thing because there was 2 ways I could have done this. And one way would be to have a shaft poking through this from the back, right, with a stop, with a shaft that runs through there, runs backwards and forwards, and pops the dog clutch out that way. So this shaft comes up inside there and pops it out from the back. Not means turning everything around and remaking a lot of bits, and I'm not really up for that. So we're going to work on the same thing and have basically a machined recess along the end here. There's screws in here, so it won't be right on the edge. It might be down here. Might put a recess in here, or we might put 2 covers on here with a bar on it, and basically a little T-piece or a stop that kicks the collar off the dog clutch. So the other thing with running it along the side here is what we can do. I'll tip all that everywhere. Something like we can run a micrometer collar on here in the right position so it's nice and easily read. And then we've got micrometer setting. So if we want to take another 10th thou off on the slide, I'm not sure if it's going to be that good, but if it is, that might be a sort of an option for later on. So if it kicks off, you lose your thread. So it's not really, this is more for basically power feed, not for threading. So if it kicks off, yes, you lose your thread position. So for threading, you've got to reverse backwards and forwards. Can you drop the outer gear down? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Raymond. So to make it a little bit more useful, it'd be nice to have this with an automatic kick-out power feed. That's where I'm at. And then basically, once it's kicked out, you can wind this back nicely. Kick the clutch in and start the lathe again and spin it until it stops and kicks out at the other end. Rotate the housing down to clear the cross side. I sort of hadn't thought of that, and it might have been a really smart thing to do. But I think it'll clear anyway. It clears the compound there. And maybe you could have rotated it down so that it actually did clear. But I think it still sticks up that little bit on there on the side there. Anyway, hindsight's 50-50, 20-20. So the plan is to use this a bit more often for power feeding. A lot of jobs you don't really need it. Like these bits here are all made on this lathe, that one and on the mill, this one. And they're not terrible, really. Made these gears on my mill and on this lathe. And it all sort of works. But it'd be very nice in the long run for cutting tapers and things like that. And that's where this shines, is because if we set this up to cut tailstock tapers or whatever, we can still power feed with that. Tapered threads, things like that. Tapered threaded plugs, all that stuff. So that's where we're at with that. It's a bit of a thing and bored you completely to death with this. And it's just a stepping stone, and it's to get me a bit interested in this lathe again, because I've been neglecting it for a bit in the projects that are required to be done on it. This is one of them. This makes this system, when I first started this, it seemed okay, and then I realised as I use it that there are many things you can't do, like I threaded those big nuts, steam nuts. Where'd the other one go? Probably tossed it in the junk box there somewhere. But I threaded some like 1-inch brass nuts, which is all very well. But if you set them up in the 3-jaw, right, these, the very nature of it, these have got to stick out to here. And then you wind this in far enough for the boring bar to actually do the feed job. And this bumps on here. So it's not really ideal. And I end up doing them in the little, setting them up in the little 3-jaw, like the Sherline one, which for heavy work isn't good either. But if I had this, then jobs like, I said, I've never ever used a 4-jaw for thread cutting, but if you want to set this up, machine a thread on the end of it, or set this up and machine a thread on the end of it, on the faceplate or whatever, you need some clearance, and it's not going to happen without this attachment. May not happen then, but it'll be certainly a lot better than it was. So that's where we're at. And then we go on to a guard on here, and a Hall effect sensor, and counter, rev turn, tacho, etc., which it probably doesn't really need because I know roughly what speeds everything is. But it'd be nice to have that. But the counter feature, for once I've been winding a few springs, the counter feature would be very useful. It's very difficult to determine how many turns on a spring you've got. The heat at the moment, when you're trying to hold everything, you can't really measure or count or whatever. So that's one thing. A guard on here is the next thing. Some sort of quick release on here, which is going to be basically a pin and a ball detent, so it clicks in place, so that we can put that on in one spot and lock that on there, and this comes off easy. Then probably a pin here and a pin here with 2 thumb wheels, or probably thumb wheels are the easiest, and just a guard that sits over here, I think, with a bit of a return on it, and probably some design or something on the outside. So that's something that needs doing. There's a guard for that hole, needs doing at one stage. It hasn't happened yet, but it does need doing one day. I've got sort of a design for a pulley there, a step down or a back gear pulley for there. May or may not ever happen. They're all things that I'd like to see done, and then I'd like to get this reversing properly on here, and foot pedals, so that you can be running forwards and just push your foot down to reverse everything out of the thread, which would be very nice. Hey James. So if we can power into a thread or slowly run into a thread, put my foot down and reverse back out, then I think that would be a very good thing to have. I don't know whether I'll ever have a practical use, but that's where we're at with that. Anyway, probably exhausted this subject, and apologise, guys, for the toxic sort of information overload on this one. Move the tool off for reverse because of backlash. There's very little backlash in this, in reverse and forward from what I've found. But yes, you really do need to do that. So I've tossed around too with what would be very nice is a thread cutting tool holder that has got a kick out on it with just a lever. All these things are fantastic in some way, but in other ways they're not so good. I believe that Multifix actually made one. It was a sliding tool holder with a lever, basically a lever sticking out here, and you just pull the lever and pop it out. However, what you lose here is that it starts to get a bit too offset here, and you end up with flexing and all sorts of things. So not sure whether that's really a thing either. Anyway, probably not going to live long enough to do all these jobs. This could do with a clean up. It could really do with a sandback and a coat of paint at some point, because it's 20 years since it had one. It'd be very, very nice once I get a few of these jobs on it to actually do that and get a fresh coat of sea mist green on it. All these metal parts have got to be finished somehow, and I've got to think about whether they're going to be chemically blued, or whether we're going to blacken them, or whether we're going to paint them, or whether we're just going to mill reliefs all around them and paint the lines, or whether we're going to leave them silver, or whether we're going to do like a brush finish. What we're going to do, I don't know. But there we go. Poor thing's looking a bit loved at the moment because it's done a bit of hard work. I did clean it up Monday night. And then Tuesday I sat down and I made the rest of these bits. So 4140 in the back bottom here everywhere. So that's where we're at. What's everyone else up to? New toy yet, DM Biscuits? Is that arrived? Raymond's getting cars finished. You got a car finished yet? Kimber's been making great strokes on mills and things. Matt's has been repairing bikes. Been a racer. I don't know what John's been up to. It'd be interesting to find out. Dan's been left unattended too many times. Two weeks will move pretty quick. Dan Biscuits. Raymond's just not even... He's not even going to enter into that conversation. That's fair enough. I haven't done anything on the steamroller this week at all. Honestly, the few hours that I've had this weekend's gone into this. I don't think I've been sitting around. Gentleman Randy's building a mezzanine in the shop. That looks like a good thing. We're having a day on Monday at Shenandoah Creek Dam at Fridges, Dan Shed. Get in touch with one of us if anyone wants to come. We are poor on concrete, so you get put to work, but I also believe that there's going to be Christmas dinners, so turkey and trimmings and stuff, so afterwards. So if anyone wants to turn up, you're welcome to. Dan absolutely needs a new bit of road, but don't talk about that stuff here. We don't have conversations like that. We're better off just to move on, and probably there are other things that we need to talk about first. I don't want to know. That's me. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. Really appreciate you all signing in. Look, there's 15 of you again. I don't know how that happened. I didn't even promote this at all. Like, I just scheduled it like in 20 minutes time, and everyone just found it and logged on. I really appreciate that. You're doing great. We do that too, Tam Biscuits, so don't go there. You own a motorbike, Matt, so you're always repairing. Anyway, so all these bits are starting to look. I couldn't find 3 gears, and the 3 gears that I did find that would have been suitable for purpose had one of them had broken teeth, so that's what we did. Take care, Matt. I'm going to head out too. Really appreciate you all tuning in. I'm going to go to bed now because I'm stuffed, feeling a bit sleepy, and we'll catch you all on the flip side sometime. I'd like to see there'd be a video again from Shannon Creek Dam, or from Shenandoah in the next sort of over the weekend, but we'll see how we go. That's going to be all I've got to get down there and back and sort stuff out and pour some concrete and organise some dinner and stuff. Anyway, anyone wants to tag along is very welcome, and we'll keep plugging on at this and all the other projects, and we'll have some more updates soon. Take care, and I'm out, and be kind to each other, guys.